much for staying with us. We are on the discussion segment of the program this morning, and naturally, you'll be expecting us to talk about the Osun election. Yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll still talk about it on the program this morning. But first, we want to look at a bigger issue, and that has to do with what is going to be on the table for Nigeria's next president. Some people have actually said that the result of the election in Osun is going to be a test for next year's general election. But then we still have a whole lot of months between now and next year, and so we will not want to go into that for now. We want to look at the burden before Nigeria's next president. We have 4 of them that appear strong enough for that position next year. We have Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC. We have Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, Peter Obi of the Labour Party, and NNPP's Kwakwanso. Whoever out of these 4 men becomes Nigeria's next president surely has a lot on his table, because in the last 8 years, Nigeria has been, in the eyes of the storm globally in terms of insecurity, economic issues, a whole lot, mistrust, ethnic mistrust, religious mistrust too, are some of the issues that the president of Nigeria, the next one, will be finding very, very daunting. We have in the studio joining us this morning a public affairs analyst to look at this. We actually packaged 2 people, but we have 1 here this morning, and so we're going to go ahead with the discussion. Mr. Cousin Sanusi is joining us this morning. Mr. Sanusi, good morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here again.
It's a pleasure to have you join us this morning. Yeah, I think it was last week that President Muhammadu Buhari actually voiced his frustration in quote now, saying that he can't wait any longer to leave that seat, that he feels like it's hard enough of being Nigerian president, and that obviously is could be attributed to the challenges, the burdens that have actually confronted him since he became president of Nigeria almost 8 years ago. Now, and Nigeria is on the verge of electing another president. Now, let's forget Buhari. Let's look at the issues that Nigeria has had to confront, in the last 7 years plus. What do you think? How massive are those challenges before the next president?
Yes. Well, the statement from the president, the outgoing president, okay, let's not say the outgoing president, as it is still the president today, President Muhammadu Buhari. I mean, like I would say, meaning resides with man. His utterance could be interpreted in so many ways. Yeah. It could be to say that because I recall that quite recently I think British Chancellor, member who to him, and his response was, he doesn't, or he cut down. He also started to leave. I mean, it's natural to be a statements as that meanings. So it's, the first time that he's making statements. In fact, I recall that in 3 months or 4 months after election, after his statement, that the issues at seat in that for a number of meaning to that statement. Yes, leaving that
Okay, new dawn on OGTV, the People's Telly. We have another guest joining us, Solomon Elolubo. Good morning, Mr. Elolubo.
Morning, sir.
Good to see you again, and welcome back to Nigeria from Rwanda, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, you share your experience with us a bit. Mr. Sanusi, I'd like you to let's go back to you.
Okay.
You spoke about the fact that we need to talk about our future. Yes, we mentioned a few things about the fact that President Buhari, even when he assumed office, he said it, when he looked at the enormity of the problems that are before him. Now, in looking at the future, let's itemize those issues that we could say are the fundamental ones that Nigeria's next president will have to face, headlong.
You see, there is before I even start talking about the fundamental issues, we need to look at the foundation. The foundation, the number one problem on the table, or number one on top of those burdens. I want to add them to the list. The number one issue, number one challenge on the table of the next president is national acceptance. National acceptance. By the way our constitution is structured, political constitution, the election constitution is structured, you understand that the idea is to have a government or a governor or a president that is collectively accepted, in terms of the outcome of the election, winning at least a quarter of the votes in 2/3 of the states. So that's why it's structured. But truth is that what we've been having? Because there is a difference between real acceptance and just political acceptance. What we have today, these are problems that are not too different from some other countries. There are some problems that are natural, they are common, but we need national drive, national interest, national collectivism to be able to tackle those problems. I've said there on several programs that it is not about the dearth of programs or plans or policies that we have in this country. It is about the interest in ensuring that those programs or those policies really gives us the fruits that we sought. If we have, I said we can't talk about future, we can't talk about tomorrow without talking about today or yesterday. The number one problem that this particular government had from the word go was position on a large sector of the populace. And when you have a populace or a citizenry that does not truly believe in its leadership, even when the leadership is doing sincere or taking real action, real steps towards tackling national problems or national issues, we're bound to be moving in circles.
At what point did you actually get to that stage? President Buhari was widely accepted based on his track records of integrity, particularly. It was generally accepted. A lot of Nigerians wanted him in office, and 4 years into his administration, people began to lose interest or hope in him.
See, if we say something is if we have a national confrontation or national gamut of challenges, we have to contain or confront those problems as a people nationally. I'm very, very concerned, very, very worried about the way the present political, affairs or political situation is, as it is today. By some design, I don't know if it's just natural, it's just happening, I don't know. Look at how the contenders that we have, if you ask me the major 4 contenders, but if you ask me, if you want to really look at it realistically, you say the major 3 contenders. They are now, representing 3 major ethnic groups. And then this is kind of bringing one of those things that are holding us down, is bringing it to the fore now. So it means that whoever is going to emerge is supposed to be bothered about it right from now, not even after your emergence. Because if you want to transmit from being a candidate, an electoral candidate, to becoming a national leader, it has to be from when you start doing your campaign, the kind of campaign that you run, the kind of things that you say, the kind of vibes, the kind of, you know, ideologies that you push, your body language, your statements. That should be nationalistic, because the number one challenge I keep saying in front of all of these contenders is how to become a national leader, someone that really represents the minds of the people.
Okay, now, Mr. Lolobo, who is talking, who is not talking out of all of these men, and who is actually reflecting those things you are talking about? Because I mean, look at the issue of Muslim ticket. I was quite impressed listening to two big pastors in the land yesterday. Igalu, Itua. I heard him yesterday, and Tunde Bakare too also spoke about the fact that it doesn't really make any difference, you know, if you have a Muslim, and those are pastors, you know. But again, some people, you listen to them and they make a very big issue out of Muslim ticket, you know. Don't you think that this is one huge problem that's before our next president?
It would have been good if we can avoid such conversation of Muslim ticket, or I mean, it was because we want to avoid this kind of conversation that we said, okay, let's zone it to this region so that everybody will be contesting from this region, or let's zone it to that region. But we found ourselves in this situation that we found ourselves. I disagree a little bit with Mr. Kozem Shanusi that it has to be a national leader, and you know, one of the first issues he has to solve is, see, just like you said, in 2015 we had a national leader. I mean, we in the South were even campaigning more for Buhari than even they in the North, because we thought, I mean, many of us were young or were not even born when he was an ex-president, and we were told, hey, this guy is very sincere. People were cleaning up. He was minister for petroleum. I mean, we were told all those good stories, and we bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Everybody was queuing behind Buhari. But so it was it represented Nigeria, not the northern region. So it was a national leader. But what did we get out of it? I mean, security has not abated. I mean, the security challenges has not abated. We still have economic challenges, and you know, I mean,
mistrust, religion.
Everything is still there. So religion. I guess the major thing is not if it's well accepted. There is, maybe apart from Bola Ahmed Tinubu, none of them will be so, I mean, cut across all this region. Maybe apart from Bola Ahmed Tinubu. See, if any leader can solve our security challenges, it can fix our economic woes and give us power, among other things, in infrastructure. Everybody will queue behind this.
What about ethnic divisions?
Everybody will queue behind whatever the ethnic place or divide you're from. If you solve your economic challenges, solve your security challenges, fix your roads, your power, your infrastructure, you will queue behind this leader. So Nigerians don't want a lot. Nigerians don't want to live a very good life. That is it. So if it is an Hausa man that will make my life easy, hello, I'm going to queue behind him. If it's an Igbo man that makes my life easy, I will queue behind him. I will not begin to think what part of the country is he from. Because, okay, let's go back to your question of Muslims and ticket. We had a Christian vice president. Did that make security to improve? We had a pastor as a vice president. Did he increase the money in my pocket? We had a pastor as a vice president. Did I put water in my house? Did he put electricity in my house? Did he reduce the price of petrol? Did he reduce the price of diesel? I mean, what are we talking about? So even though if we can avoid such conversation, that is the best. But in the moment that we cannot avoid such conversation, we are looking for people who can make our life easy. When we can turn on the switch and there will be light. When you can turn the tap and there will be water. When you can drive to the filling station and the petrol. When you can drive on your road and you'll be safe. When you can move around 12 p.m. in the night and you're not afraid of your life. I mean, those are the kind of leaders we want. Whether you're from Kanuri or you're from Ibibio, we really do not care. Whether you're a Muslim or you're a Christian, just make the life easy, honestly.
Well, at this stage, you know, things were in a fix when we talk about the security situation. Do you think it will be easy for any of the candidates to to do a kind of magic?
Honestly, at this stage, it's difficult to believe. I mean, I'm sorry, it's difficult to believe in Nigeria. It's difficult to believe that things are going to be better. Because before I was born, our fathers were believing things were going to be better. I mean, I know the kind of songs, Ebenezer Obey songs, King Sonny Ade songs, that we listen to, and we're like, okay, so has it always been this? And so, which means it has always been this. So, trust me, when President Obasanjo was in power, during his last years, I was in my final year in the university, and we saw all the humongous money that was spent on power. Independent power project and all the power plant, about 20 power stations he was building everywhere in the country. I told my friend, I said, finally, we are solving this problem of power. And today we have not. Okay, when President Buhari was coming, I said, finally, Boko Haram and all the security challenges, we're having a military man in power, an ex-military man. You know, we call it GMB. General Muhammadu Buhari, that this guy is coming to power, is going to fix all this. Oshibaju will be there, he would help in resolving all those economic issues, gather all the best brains around and fix this. But where are we? So it's difficult to believe that things would be better because of those two premises that I just gave. But as a patriotic citizen, you just have to keep believing. We know Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be someone that gathers the best brains around and make them work. I mean, look at his cabal. Look at Vice President Oshibaju. Look at people. Look at Fashola. Look at those people he has gathered together to work with him, and they are all shining stars in different fields. So we believe he could do that. We believe even Atiku Abubakar could bring about the best people around, and even we believe Peter Obi could do something like that. I mean, looking at his antecedents in Anambra and all of that, we just want to see Nigeria work. I mean, enough of everybody traveling, relocating, japa, enough of us having to get guns to make ends meet, enough of the young people having to look for jobs and not see, if you of our ladies have to turn to be on the street and all of that. We just want this country to work. And so if we've had a Muslim Christian ticket and it has not, well, I am not advocating for a Muslim ticket. What I'm advocating is people on the ballot should make the country work.
But Mr. Sanusi,
yes,
let's look at the role the electorates have to play in all of this. It doesn't have to be the work of the government alone. Don't you think so?
Yes. In my opening statement, it's just an emerging statement. You know, I was going to do a follow-up to that. I appreciate the angle that it came in from. And I would say that one way or the other, we are saying the same thing. Yes, when I say a leader that will inspire nationalism, that will inspire, we just use the word patriotism. The only problem that we have in the country right now is that we have all the indices, all the potentials for success. They are all laid out. What we don't have is a leader that will inspire, followership towards taking the right steps towards achieving real successes. Yes, we're doing President Buhari's election, the first tenure. Yes, a lot of things were said about him, especially his first foray in government as a military, leader. Yes, everybody has, no matter how you want to put it, every person has his own personal, intricate value. There's no way you want to look at it. There's a personality built up about every individual. So however everybody does, whatever political thing you do about a person to draw PR, to sell him to the people, especially for election, when that person sits or assumes office, his innate person begins to come to fore. And that's why I quickly went there. There are no countries of this world that have achieved success anywhere that don't have that particular trait, that ability to inspire the populace to walk the journey with you, however tedious or rigorous the journey. That's one reality. I'll tell you why. You just asked me a question, going back to your question about the roles that electors have to play. one key major burden, one major challenge, one draconian challenge in front of any emerging president now or incoming president is the issue of our economy. You know, and so many things are tied to the economy. Poverty is not a friend of any society, because poverty will build all other problems. Poverty feeds all other problems. So if you want to take the people out of the poverty line, you must tackle this economy head on. And what do we have today in this country? We still have a country who should be marching, you know, clearly making decisive marches towards moving away from a mono economy to an economy that is safer, and a mono economy that is subject to global shock, whereas whatever happened globally comes to us almost immediately. You know what I'm saying? Just as I was coming, I was listening to the news on the radio, and there's this news caption that was saying that the major marketers have had a meeting with the reservation for the downstream sector, and that they've agreed to, and there's this back and forth. And the thought in my head is that, is this government finally subscribing to doing tactical withdrawal of subsidy? We have an economy that is still hinged on oil, on crude oil. And the reality in front of the incoming government is to say that, come, the two things that I have to tackle oil debt, and the other one is that I have to look at this oil subsidy. Am I removing it eventually? When I remove it, how am I tackling the attendant issues that will come with it? That is the area of the electorate now. That is one journey that the incoming president must make the populace work.
No, yeah, so why
is it going to inspire that?
So what I'm saying is that whoever is the next president for Nigeria has his job well cut out for him, particularly in the area of the economy, building the economy.
Of course.
Now, it looks like building Nigeria's economy, you know, for prosperity also has a whole lot of branches under it. Because for you to actually make our economy stronger, then the issue of restructuring has to come in.
Of course.
The states have to be empowered, you know. Security, probably you have to, you know, devolve powers of, you know, manning security, you know, to the states and all of that. But it looks like a Nigerian president that we had over time are running away from the issue of restructuring. They don't want to do restructuring. You know, I think it's all about their perception of what restructuring is all about. So you don't think that's also a big one for the next president?
Well, the next president, I will keep going back to where my statement said that the next president has to be a real leader. And a real leader understands the problems or the challenges that it needs to surmount ahead of time. And like you rightly said too, he must be ready to surmount them. And now, he must also be ready to inspire people to agree with him to walk that journey. These are tedious journeys because, see, the way we have been wired from default is tough. You understand what I'm saying? Like people who say that the president should do restructuring, it's not as if the president can do it by executive fiat. There are legal, constitutional, you know, steps that have to be taken. And it means that everybody must be committal.
Mr. President, at inauguration, Buhari said, I am for everybody.
I'm for no one.
I'm for nobody. You know, do you think at a point, don't you think that at a point that couldn't work for him anymore?
You know, in my opening statement, I also said it. I made reference to that particular statement. And then I also told you that about 2-3 months into that his government, he also made another statement to say that the moment at the point where he had, you know, deeper understanding of the state of the nation, he said it jocularly, but then you could always read meanings to some of these statements that I almost ran away. That's why he said it.
So this is the toughest job in the world, isn't it?
Of course.
The toughest job in the world.
You see, the way we are wired from default, whoever is coming in now, I'll hold on to this. It has to have a way of selling these very, very, very critical programs, very, very critical agendas that may rock the table, allow me to use that, and you know, allow people, rub the table, not doing it individually, but rub the table and still have the people intact. It's going to be a tough one.
We as individuals, we have our strength and our weaknesses. Taking a look at the candidates, you know, somehow we know their strength, we know their weaknesses because they've been there before. You know, it's just that this is at another level entirely. Talking about the weaknesses now, do you think the people, you talked about national acceptance, you know, do you think the people will actually accept whoever emerges at the end of the day based on his weaknesses?
Well,
trust is the word now.
What we know is in 2023, a new president is going to emerge. And we have one that has been contesting serially, I mean, since, I understand since 1992 or 1993 for this position, and one who is giving his shot, who has always been a live ambition and giving his shot for the very first time. Now, I guess they are all well known to us, so we know what, we can perceive what they can do. You can begin to think about it. You see a lot of young people on Twitter, on social media trust Peter Obi a lot, and they believe, yes, just give us Peter Obi. Peter Obi has always been around. I have sat with Peter Obi for like 3 hours, and I mean, I was convinced this is the kind of leader that we could get. But I also know that it is beyond social media. I mean, if you look at the election in Osun the other day, you have to be on the ground. So, and money has started playing a lot of role. So, is it going to be about trust in 2023 or about who pushes out the more money, more cash to the people and all of that? So, and that is my thinking. If Nigerians will, you asked the question the other time that what is the role the electorate are going to play? Are they just going to look at the money that these politicians are going to give them?
Or religion?
Or they're just going to look at the ethnic sentiment or the religious sentiment? Yeah. I think a lot of voting is going to be done along religious and ethnic lines. Because we've pushed those narratives to the fore. And it's all about is he our local, which is coming back to this region after spending 8 years in the north, or is it the fact that it's a Muslim ticket and all of that? So I really do not see trust coming into play. I really do not see capacity and competence coming into play, because those have not been the narratives up till now. The narratives up till now has not been who can deliver power, who can deliver economy, who can deliver this infrastructure. You know, that has not been the narrative so far. Who do we trust not to embezzle our money? Who do we trust with the future of the country? That has not been at the forefront of the discussion. What has been on the forefront of the discussion? Why should we have a Muslim leading us? Why do they want to Islamize Nigeria? Why would they spend 8 years in the north and another northerner is contesting again for it? Why should he not come to the south? So the issue of trust and competence and character has not really come to the fore. If I'll quickly respond to Mr. Shanusi, see, everything he is advocating for, that the leader, it must be a national leader, President Buhari had at the inception of this administration. He had everybody on board. If I cannot say everybody, I will say almost everybody. He had us on board in the south, he had us on board in the north. Everybody was queuing behind President Buhari. But I'm saying that is not enough. The fact that people trust your government to do well does not mean you're going to do well.
But sometimes,
so you yourself will determine.
But sometimes those qualities are just they are just on the surface.
I tell you.
They are just on the surface. Sometimes it's also about the body language of the leader. You know, and I think going back to Buhari, you know, Buhari had his credentials well written for him, Mr. Integrity.
Yes.
You know, but again, when he came into office, what about the body language he showed? Did the body language he showed, or he has shown, you know, reflects Mr. Integrity?
Yes. Initially, he reflected that, but do you know that they now? So once he reflected that, people knew that this guy is going to, you know, he's not going to allow some things. So people now, some corrupt politicians now decamped into his party, into the APC. So that became a shield for them. And so Buhari has never prosecuted, well, don't let me use never, you would not see a lot of people from his party being prosecuted because they believe that, oh, he's now our party man. I mean, we have a lot of them that had court cases in the court coming into the APC. So they became a shield. And so we trusted Buhari not to look at anybody.
I think it was APC that actually caused that. APC said, come join us, your sins are forgiven. I know you used to be a member of APC. Are you still there?
I was never a member of APC.
Oh, okay.
But that was what really happened.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them, they come into the APC and we saw that EFCC became just for internet fraudsters alone. They never went after any politician or, I mean, would you say the accountant general is a politician? I mean, they went after a few of those technocrats and civil servants, but they never went after any politician, after any serving governor, after any previous governor, ex-governor, and all of those things. So we saw that the anti-corruption was skewed only to internet fraudsters, and we see that ICPC, all of those organizations didn't stop bearing their name. Really, they just went into the office and they are just collecting salaries. What essentially the leader must be able to deliver what Nigeria needs. And I'm saying Nigeria do not need the law. We just want to be safe. We just want to have government of infrastructure and want to have money in our pocket. So if we can ensure we have security, fix our infrastructure, and solve the economical problems that we have in this country, Nigerians will support you, whether they supported you initially before you get into power or not. You see Nigeria queuing behind you, and your re-election bid will be easier because you solve that problem.
The youth of this country, they also, Mr. Sanusi, they also, for me, have been, widely divided on this issue. The youth in the South, their narratives are quite different from the youth in the North, in the East or in the North, And so, if you have, if Nigeria's next president, wants to prove to be a very honest man, detribalized Nigerian, and all that, don't you think that could also be a challenge for him if the youths of the country are not collectively following him, they are not queuing behind him, they are not seeing those lines, ethnic, religious lines, ethnic lines, and all that, you don't think that's going to be another big burden for him?
Yes, we need to have a national leader, I will still insist, that understands all of this. Understands that the youths are a major contributor, stakeholders in the success of this country as a whole. But also needs to understand that the history and where the youths are coming from, the roles they are playing today, and how he needs to unify their thoughts, the differences. There are bound to be differences, but we need to unify those differences to achieve certain goals. You can't erase differences. They are just there. That's why we have demographs and all of that. But then we must find a way as a leader. You must understand it. And that's why I'm saying that it's not just about the stories that are built around you. It's about how those things, how those myths, let me call them myths now translate to realities. That's what I'm saying. Yes, it's not, yes, we built those things, those legends around Buhari at that time. But we're saying that whoever is going to work, we still need that content now. We still need it. We needed it then. That's why it came up. Because no nation has ever survived without having a real leader. No nation. Go down history lane. Maybe ours have been truncated several times over. You understand? Even in our history, you could see that we were making very good strides from the beginning, from the builders of maybe the First Republic and everything. But suddenly, maybe because of military interventions and everything, became eroded. Maybe if we had evolved gradually. And that's why some people, if some historians will always go back to it and say that there are epochs where we could have perhaps come out of this whole thing. Because look at, okay, some people say, don't compare, you just came out from Rwanda. Like I got that from there. Some people say, don't compare the Kagame of Rwanda with the population, whatever, however small the population. That leader is inspiring his people to achieve those things. What is happening in Bordeaux? Professor Zulum has every reason to come and say that my state is so war torn that I can't do anything. And we'll just allow him, we'll let him have Duke. But suddenly he's doing this and he's emerging as that kind of leader. That's why I'm saying that the character of the leader is also important. Somebody that understands the problem and ready to tackle them. And the people are ready to follow him, even when he makes genuine mistakes. It's about how you carry yourself, how you sell your programs. That is what this particular government has not been able to do.
So it means that the last 7.5 years, you know, for Nigeria have been like a waste, because I think that some of these primordial problems that we've had, when I was growing up, I read a lot of these things in government. I read in the papers, and the problems are still there, you know. So, and I was hopeful that when Buhari came to office, you know, all of these things are going to disappear. Now, 7.5 years after, the problems seem to have been aggravated. Muslim ticket would ordinarily not have mattered some 10 years ago in Nigeria. You know, we had it Abiola Kingibe, you know. We also had a Christian, you know, and all that. Now, I think the feeling in town, because somebody was trying to analyze, he said, what makes you think a Muslim will vote for a Muslim candidate?
And that's why I keep insisting. See, what with all of the Fulanization, Islamization, and whatever that bedeviled this particular government, what did the core person do to change the narrative?
The body language.
The body language.
Body language.
What did they do? That's why I say we need a leader, a national leader that understands this problem. And I say that what is important for that person is that however he emerges, what he needs to do is how he's going to transmit from being an electoral candidate or a political party to become a real national leader. That's what I'm saying. Can all other things will fall into place as soon as that is achieved.
Can you actually get that national leader, you know, among those that are steep in the politics that we're still playing in this country, politics of religion, of ethnicity, of nepotism, and all that? Can we get that national leader?
We as it is today, it will be very difficult.
So, which means that the field,
the field. I just say that it can be. We can just kind of do superlatives, walk around them, try and make them subtle in our campaigns. You know, I said that that the frontliners must, in their utterances, their body language, and everything, try and be nationalistic. Try and know that they don't create problems, unify, don't create problems from themselves, even before their emergence.
So, which means that if you look at the field clearly, sorry, Moji, Tinubu, Atiku, Obi, Kwakwanso, it is not crystal clear that one of them, you know, could actually emerge or behave like the true national leader that Nigeria is actually eagerly expecting in 2023.
You just talked about the youth. It's so unfortunate that if you go to social media today, what the youths are doing now is to try to paint that ethnic color, wear that ethnic coloration or religion coloration or garment on each of the candidates on opposing sides. That's what they are doing. But again, as the supporters of Tinubu and APC are pinning the IPOP thing on Peter Obi, so they are doing same thing.
Those guys on the social media, many of them don't have PVCs, and the critical mass that have PVCs are not also being talked to.
Now, this is my constituency. You will see that we are getting our PVCs now. I mean, exactly. Look at.
Have you got yours?
Yes, I have mine since forever. And
do you have yours?
They now know that votes are not counted online. They actually know that you cannot vote on Twitter. And so a lot of young people are going on the field now to get their PVCs. You see that in fact, a lot of social media campaign was actually tailored towards that, and a lot of them, and I mean, we saw the crowd in Lagos and in many of those PVC collection centers where people are collecting their PVCs. So that has been understood. But in 2023, I really am not expecting a lot of changes towards that. If it were to be some other European countries, whoever is winning online is winning offline. But in Nigeria, whoever is winning online is actually not winning offline.
Exactly.
So it's not winning in the grassroots at all.
And that's where the issue of structure comes in.
Yes, structure across the country, the different states. Someone made an analysis and you need people, at least 3 people per polling booth. That transfers to a lot of people.
You need to be, if possible, pay them weekly.
Yes,
them salaries.
agents, canvassers on election day, mobilizers to get the votes out of their houses and all of that. It's not easy at all to win an election. So you will see whoever is leading online is definitely not leading on ground.
I think that understanding is really coming. I was somewhere sometime last week and with a politician who is trying to actually contest in the next election. And some people were there, were telling him that, look, don't just appreciate the crowd. You could have a crowd that is not going to vote for you.
Exactly.
A crowd that doesn't have PVC.
Yes.
So what's the point?
Yes.
So I think that's where your point,
exactly.
comes in.
A major party chose the deputy governorship candidate in Lagos. And she happens to be an actress, and she went online to say that I have 20 million followers. I'm looking at her like this.
Followers where?
You still don't understand this game. Because social media followers amounts to nothing. Social media followers.
Well, you can't really blame her. She's not a core politician, so she's just trying to learn the ropes.
So meaning that the role of the electorate in determining that national leader that all of us have agreed upon, is quite critical, as we face the next year's general election.
Yes, it is. I agree in a way that we need someone that would reflect us as Nigeria, not as a particular tribe or a particular religion, to galvanize everybody to come together and achieve these common goals. But whether he has it or not, whoever emerges our next president, the topic is the burden before the next Nigerian president, for me is fixed security in the first place. If you mentioned Kigali, Rwanda, you mentioned Kigami. You go out in the middle of the night and you believe.
That leads us to your trip.
You would not believe you're in Africa.
What did you see?
Before we go to his trip, let's quickly talk about the choice, how the next president will choose his cabinet members now, because that is actually critical too. If it doesn't have the support of those ones, if they are not, if they do not have the same idea within, it will actually be difficult for him to do something meaningful.
This is where the electorate needs to be more intelligent now. They need to step up their understanding. And if you're offering someone a job, you look at his CV, you look at his antecedents, you look at his what's the offering, what can you offer, what are you bringing to the table. So if we can, to a large extent, because I always say that there is this, no matter how you want to look at it, the society has a stratification. If the ones on the Twitter who are a bit to some extent, because not all of them are so intelligent, or some of them are just there behind the keyboards, just doing all sorts of things. The cowardly type. Yeah. But if the few people, because I always say the electorates are mob-like in nature, and that is why the politicians keep capitalizing on that. All they need to do is just identify, when your politicians talk structure, they only need to identify major structure holders. Okay, there is a chief Lagbaja in this particular location. All he needs to do is just tell his people, vote for this person. And these are the areas where we need to go and intercept. Those of us on the youths, we need to now go to the street and start educating those poor electorates, the artisans, the allogers, the normal people, those ones that will even come out en masse to vote ordinarily, to start doing proper education on how. Now, if going by what you just said, we need to now lay it out clearly. What is your pedigree? What have you done in the past? Who is the best manager of men? Who has inspired, people to greatness? who has been able to bring the best out of people, who has been able to manage people to effectively achieve his agenda, and who can come to the people and say that this is what I've achieved in the past, and we're all living witnesses to them. Because any leader worthy of his sort, it's not about what you do. If you do today and if you achieve something today and in the next decade it is quartered, then you're not a leader. It is about what you're able to leave as legacy. And it is and it's continuing even without you, becomes a system.
Okay.
That's what we need to look at.
All right, as we're closing, Mr. Nolobo, in 2 minutes, we'd like you to actually give us a takeaway from Rwanda. You went to Kigali for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting.
Yeah. I mean, so, well, what I found out about Rwanda is the fact that the positive stories we've always read online are actually true. I mean, Kigali is about the only African country that manufactures their own mobile phones, so they have a mobile phone factory. I mean, the country is really very peaceful. Coming from genocide in 1994, but they've really moved on, and they're having a country they can be proud of. A lot of people will talk about the human rights records and the fact that the president has always been there since then up till now. But the truth is, there's a lot of progress as an African country. Kigali is...
And they trust their president?
Yes.
They trust him?
They do trust him. In fact, you know, a lot of older people died during the war. So Kigali has a very youthful population, and they trust their president. They really do not find fault with their president. They believe the president is working, and you see, their life is improved for it, because the unemployment rate in Rwanda is very low. Their agriculture is doing very well, and they have a lot of young people in agriculture. They have security, really. Kigali is very safe. Someone told me that so there was a robbery or burglary incident that happened around 3 a.m. in the night, in the morning, and before 7 a.m. they were caught already. I mean, before dawn, within 4 hours, the police could locate them. I mean,
but isn't that about population and size?
See, I believe if you can get it right from there, then whatever your population is, it's about, see, okay, if you're saying that's about population and size, I've also been to China, and China has about 1.6 billion people, and they have one of the lowest crime rates in the world. So once you get it right as a people, then it does not matter what your population is. I mean, America is about over 300 million people, and they're getting it right. Even UK is about 60 million people. So you can argue for and against on population, but once you get it right as a people, and once the leadership, as Mr. Shanusi has been hammering, gets it right, I guess the nation is just going to get it right. I mean, Kigali and Rwanda is a success story in Africa, just like a few other success stories that African leaders need to emulate.
All right, thank you so much for coming, gentlemen, on this program this morning. We must thank you so much for your contributions. Mr. Kozim